must be absolutely up to date with every part of the animal's anatomy. Every hunter knows that that's the vital organs, the chest. Many people try to shoot for the neck and end up windpiping deer or hitting the spine. Even when you go for a chest shot, people shoot low. So we always advocate that the hunter should always try for a chest shot when the animal is stood still, and you've less chance of causing any suffering. Same on a roe. Here's a boar. A lot of people try for neck shots and brain shots on a boar. You've a huge amount of gristle there. You've got all this is the throat, and many boar get hit in this region. They're very difficult to track and often incredibly aggressive. The strike point where all these animals, or any animal, is shot is basically, we call it a crime scene. Everything that you need to know about the track you're about to attempt is there. Sometimes there's absolutely nothing for you to see, so you have to ask the hunter what he saw, what he remembers. And it is quite amazing when you ask a hunter what happened, how absolutely incorrect they are. They can be 50 or 60 metres wrong to where the animal was stood. They tell you they hit it in the chest, they hit it in the throat or the gut, and they don't know. Strike point, you analyse everything that's there, and it tells you that's the start of the track, not where you find the first few pieces or spots of blood. All the evidence that you gain helps you to find and decide on the method you're going to track and when you're going to start. Here in the UK, we've been for years told, when you're stalking and you shoot a deer and it runs 10 yards and falls over, give it 10 minutes. Don't rush it. Have a fag was the old way, then go to the deer. Touch its eyeball, fine. If it runs off and you lose it, have another fag. Give it another 10 minutes, then go and look. On the continent, from over 1 million recorded tracks, they've put it in computers and come up with graphs of times and when you should go in with trained dogs, trained scent hounds, and come back with a percentage of successful recoveries from all the different shots at strike points. And it's quite... We've been told for years, give it 10 minutes, give it half an hour. You've got to get in, you've got to end suffering. So many people move those animals on and on because they're full of adrenaline, and then they don't get them. But by waiting for 8, 12, 24 hours, you have a greater chance of success with a trained dog. So is it better to go in straight away and have an 80% chance of losing the animal completely, or waiting 24 hours and having a 100% chance of recovering it? It only suffers for 24 hours, not for days or weeks. All the information tells you what the track needs, what you have to do. And as I've just said, you can go to the strike point and there's nothing, but it doesn't mean that the animal is missed. We pay thousands of pounds for rifles and optics. You go to the range, you can put 3 bullets in an inch. You shoot at the side of a deer at 50 yards and it runs away, and you say, oh, I must have missed it. The chances of you missing the chest of a deer are very slim with the equipment that we have nowadays in the optics. Again, it's a bit like trying to teach your grandmother to suck eggs. Everybody's done level 1, level 2, and we've shot deer for years and looked at strike points, but very few people truly investigate what they see and assimilate all the evidence. I'm sure you can all tell that's the jaw of a deer. That's its teeth. And when you shoot a any deer in the head or the lower jaw, its actual behaviour at the shot, it can collapse, or it can just shake its head and run away. You can see the jaw dropping, but sometimes you see nothing. It just gallops away so quick. When you look on the ground from a jaw shot, you can find the vascular, mucous blood, long threads of blood mixed with saliva, sometimes even bubbles made from where it's breathed out and saliva. You can find pieces of teeth, bones and jaw, and quite often not at the strike point. As it's fleeing, these bits just fall off. The effect, well, it's fatal. The deer will always die of starvation, and it may take weeks. What would we do? Well, we'd consider the evidence, wait a minimum of 4 hours, preferably 24, and then track. And another reason why we would say wait is if it's a herd species, there's a lot of fresh scent there from many deer. If you wait 24 hours, if you went in straight away, your dog's lifting his head because he smells many deer, and it's harder for him to settle on warm scent. If we wait 24 hours, you follow the track, he then starts to pick up the animal that's injured. Its individual scent is different to the rest of the herd, and therefore it increases your chances of finding that animal sooner. And if you haven't disturbed it, it's likely to be there, couched up, in less than a kilometre, 1,000 metres. When you've looked at your evidence and you've decided what and how long you should leave it, you can then hopefully get in close enough at the earliest opportunity and shoot. You know when they're shot in the jaw, it's going to be a long and arduous search. Throat shots vary from no sign at all to they collapse, or you can see them jump up sometimes. Sometimes there's a little bit of blood, sometimes a little bit of non-digested food, sometimes a white sticky material which is part of the windpipe. And you know again it's going to probably be fatal. It'll probably starve to death, or it gets infection and it will definitely die. Again, we would say wait, mark the spot, and when you know that you've had 6 hours, 8 hours, then start the track. It's going to be a long track and the animal is highly mobile. So your first opportunity to get a safe shot, that's what you have to take, because many times you will not get a second option. You know it's going to be a long search, so be prepared. We usually carry a backpack with water or something to keep you going, because a track like this could be 5, 10, 20 kilometres at least, especially with a herd species. A graze shot, one across the back of the spine, top of the shoulders, back of the neck. We investigate every hair that we find on the track. All deer have 28 different types of hair on their coat, summer or winter. So we make up a Schnitthaar book with a picture of deer, every part of their anatomy, in winter and summer pelage, and we keep the hair from that, so you can pick it up and make sure you know where that deer was injured. There are also a minimum of 7 different types of bone, some hollow, some empty, some spongy bones, flat bones, round bones. So you need to know every part of the deer's anatomy. This is hair that was cut by a bullet, and this is hair that was ripped out. It all tells you a story. Graze shot, again the behaviour varies immensely. You can have a lot of blood if it's hit a part of the muscle at the back of the neck, a lot to start with and then getting less. Depending on where it's shot and how severe, close to the spine, it can be fatal. Some survive. Often in summer they get fly strike and die by being poisoned and eaten alive by maggots. We again would say, with a shot like this, leave it a minimum of 4 hours And then when you're tracking, be prepared to shoot at the earliest opportunity. And again, there's no damage to the vital organs or its legs. It's going to be a long track and probably arduous, so be prepared for a long day. And we've all been taught these are the reactions to shot. What happens when you shoot a deer in the heart area? It often leaps up in the air, lurches forward, hopefully collapses in a very short distance. When the shot in the heart lungs, it'll collapse sometimes if it's got a bit of adrenaline in. Sometimes they run a few yards in a semicircle and collapse, even run smack into obstacles. Quite often there's lots of bright red vascular blood and parts of the lungs, which is the only shot that you can guarantee that you're correct. Pink frothy blood with lung material in is a giveaway. When anybody tells you that bright red blood is from the heart or the leg or this and the other, they're wrong. The temperature, the ground condition, the weather, the time alters blood and it all goes black. The only way you can tell the difference is if it's in the gut, you've got stomach contents. If it's in the lungs, it's pink frothy. There's no guarantee that you know exactly where the blood is if it's old, with the weather changing. Heart-lung shots, they don't usually run far, it's quite fatal. The difference with boar, even with a perfect heart shot, even if it doesn't know you're there, quite often they will run 100 to 200 metres before collapsing. They're so tough. What do? You just remain calm. If you think the shot was good, start seeking the evidence, and that should tell you you've had a fatal shot. And at this point, you can track with another dog, so long as it's trained to work on a leash. Here's your liver shot, and notice they usually hump the back and walk away slowly. Some will run if it's forward of the liver. This is the dark, sort of sour looking claret, really deep red of the liver. And you know that the animal, when it's shot just behind the diaphragm, it will sometimes hunch its back and flinch and then walk slowly away. Some will collapse, get up and still struggle to get away. A dark brown, rich, grainy blood, always from the liver, and it's usually fatal. Sometimes the shot placement, if it's a little bit further back, just clipping the liver, they will take days and days and days to die. We always believe with this shot, if you wait 3 to 4 hours, knowing that it's a liver shot, you can then track successfully and end up with a very high percentage of success. You can search for a roe deer with a well-trained dog on a leash within 3 to 4 hours. But you should only search for game with a dog that's trained to track on a leash and be calm and confident. And depending on the shot, depends on whether you get in a specialist or not. Never rush the strike point. All the investigation that you do will save time at the end. The more time you put in here, understanding what the shot is, and the better your chance of success. We wear high vis for tracking because you're quite often in the deepest of cover, and if you have a very active, mobile animal and it comes charging out, and you've a couple of hunters spread out, in case it bolts somewhere, you need to be in high vis. People get excited, shoot at what they think's the deer, and it's either you or your dog. People have been killed many occasions. Conclusions from the strike point: whenever you shoot a deer and it isn't where you think it is, be honest with yourself, understand what you've done, collect all the evidence. If you think this track is going to be, shall we say, above your pay grade, that you and your dog can't cope with it, ring up, get help, mark the shooting point, cover the evidence from the elements or bits of bone, even put them in a bag till the tracker can get there. You are doing the best you can by not going after it straight away if you ring somebody who's trained to do nothing else but track. Ring the handler as soon as possible so that you have a better chance. And once you get the tracker there, let him take control of the tracking and what goes on. It's his dog. It takes a minimum of 6 years to train a specialist dog. The mistakes that the hunter or stalker makes aren't bad for them. They're always bad for the animal. It's the animal that suffers. If you don't find the strike point, but the animal's track is followed, it's not good. It's worse if you let a dog run off the lead, fouling the track, or even moving the deer or boar. Another one, the shooter and his dog failed to find the animal but continued to disturb the area, get their mates in, run dogs everywhere. All you're doing is making it more and more difficult to find that wounded animal. Strike point is found and the evidence not considered, and 100 metres there's no blood, but you just keep paddling about in every direction. You can move the deer, push it into deep cover, or completely obliterate. People go with labs and they eat the bone and the blood, and you know there's nothing there when you go, but somebody's dog's eaten it. And following it on an evening, going with torches, crashing about in the wood or in cover, you find a bit of blood, you continue to search the next morning, you're still unsuccessful. You've wasted maybe 12 hours when you could have got somebody who does nothing but track out to help you. It costs nothing but a phone call, and you've much more chance of recovery. The shooter's dog follows the deer, finds the deer, chases it maybe 1 or 2 kilometres, then it comes back to you and you've no idea where it's been. You've less idea where the animal's gone. These are one of the graphs that show you what happens if you call a professional tracking team. You've an 80% chance of success if you don't foul the ground or disturb or push that beast on. If you go with your dog on a lead and paddle about in there, the percentage drops by 50%, down to 40% straight away of recovery. If you let the dogs run off the leash, get more dogs in or more people and don't find them, again, the percentage drops down to 20%. And this is proven by collating the evidence from 1 million tracks. That was for another place that wanted a cup of tea at this time. This is a few pictures of animals that we've tracked. This is a roebuck that had been shot in the foreleg. A 250 metre search with the hound on a lead, and then after a free run, the free run is where you release the dog when you see the animal. He runs up, grabs it, pulls it down, holds it to bay, and then you can dispatch it. That one was shot in the foreleg from a high seat. We tracked it 400 metres. It was then held to bay and dispatched. That's another picture of a few little bits of bone. That's all there was. And then nothing else. And that's from that animal. 350 metres we tracked that beast, and then the 200 metre free run, held to bay by our hounds, and then shot by the accompanying hunter. Only if the hunter is calm and experienced do we allow him to use a gun. In so many instances, when they get too excited, you end up with your dog getting shot. That's the graze shot, too high, above the heart, hit the top of the shoulders. That buck still ran 200 metres, was found by the dog. It got up, the dog ran it to bay, took 600 metres before it could be dispatched by the hunter. This is the throat shot. Another risky shot, gone for the neck. 1.25, 1,250 metre search, a 200 metre free run, held by the dog before it was dispatched. This is a very difficult animal to bring successfully to the end, because everything's working, just got a hole through the windpipe and it's probably going to die of infection or starvation. That's the advert for head shooting, or not. It's up to you to decide. When it goes wrong, that animal can run for mile after mile after mile. Everything's working except its mouth. It's another difficult animal to bring to bay, and really should only be, the searches for these animals should only be attempted by trained professionals. Otherwise that animal is going to die in agony weeks later, days later.